Has blown himself targeting a church congregation in Bauchi, northern Nigeria. At least 3 people died, including the suspected bomber, and another 48 seriously injured. Witnesses speak of carnage at the scene of the bombing, with debris all over the place. We have details of that story in this report.
Catholic Church in northern Nigeria's Bauchi state, the suicide bomber targeted. Worshippers were gathered outside the church when a man driving a car full of explosives drove into them. At least 3 people died, including the bomber, and a further 48 are seriously injured. Witnesses say they are lucky to be alive.
I see a vehicle just crossed like this. I was thinking it is a security car. Immediately I just reached here. I kept there's something come past my body like this. I said, Jesus!
Nobody claimed responsibility, but all eyes are turned on Boko Haram. The group wants to impose an Islamic state on the north of Nigeria. Boko Haram has stepped up attacks on Christians over the past few weeks.
Well, Somalia's radical Islamic group, the Al-Shabaab, has issued death threats against the country's new parliamentarians. The group confirmed it is behind last week's killing of one of the deputies. Meanwhile, at least 200 members of the Al-Shabaab have surrendered to the African Union troops in the country as both sides prepare for a showdown for the control of strategic port city of Kismayo. We have more of that story in this report.
Haji Mohammed was the member of the Somali parliament Al-Shabaab Islamists murdered this weekend. Be the first in a long line of murders. Al-Shabaab say they're going to kill each member of parliament one at a time unless they resign immediately.
Our brother didn't consider dying.
The new parliament began its session at the end of August, the time when the Shabaab increased their attacks. On September 12th, the president narrowly escaped death just 48 hours after his election. 3 suicide bombers attacked the hotel where he was staying. But the Shabaab have lost men and terrain. On Saturday, 200 of their gunmen surrendered to African Union forces. I decided to surrender to the authorities and to the African Union troops. I now want to work for the government and the African mission in Somalia. Somalia's Islamists retreated from Mogadishu in 2011 and have been losing ground ever since. The only city they still control is the southern port Kismayo, although they are still active in the center and the south of the country.
Syria's civil war will be behind the agenda when world leaders gathered at the United Nations in New York this week for the General Assembly. And today, UN and Arab League Special Envoy Lakhdar Brahimi will brief the UN Security Council behind closed doors on his recent meeting with Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. Meanwhile, from Syria's commercial hub to its capital, few areas are untouched by the civil war that has raged for 11 months now. CNN's Nick Robertson takes us to Damascus suburb, where there has been caught up in the crossfire, even though residents try to go on with their daily activities.
And a trail of traffic marked the government checkpoint. Graffiti, Assad is our leader, his brother is the eradicator, a warning for those entering this Damascus neighborhood. Inside, repairs following weeks of regime shelling are underway. This storekeeper, back home for the first time in more than 2 weeks, not expecting the government to fix damage wrought by its army.
We are trying to do it by ourselves, to repair everything. Yeah. In order to make it easy and faster.
15 minutes drive from the center of Damascus, Ein Termer's residents are picking up the pieces of their shattered lives. A bakery turning bags of flour into flat loaves as fast as people can carry it away. It feels like things are getting back to normal a bit here, but everyone we talk to is still very cautious. They don't want to say who was responsible. Was it the government or the rebels? They just say that they left and got out of the way. You get the sense that people are still very afraid. What is happening here, rebellion, repression, reprisal, is writ large across the capital this summer. Ein Termer is just emerging from the reprisal phase. At the government checkpoint, soldiers told us it could be dangerous driving in here. Since we've arrived, people have told us there are Free Syrian Army fighters here. It seems whatever battle was fought, it was far from decisive and perhaps still far from over. A teenager offers to take me to see a bomb school. Yeah. We want to see where the bomb hit. But when we get there, the headmistress won't let us in. She's afraid of repercussions. I soon realize she is not alone. I just met a local official. He didn't want to speak to me on camera, but he told me about 200 people died in this area. When I asked him how did it happen, he said people moved in from other areas, fighters, Free Syrian Army fighters moved in, and the government forces came. He says the Free Syrian Army left the area. And all those people, he said, who couldn't afford to get out, those were the ones that bore the brunt of the fighting. But I soon find out the Free Syrian Army, FSA, really are back. These two men tell me they've been watching us since we arrived 30 minutes ago. But the army is like 2 miles away. Down back streets, we see other fighters with guns. We're told not to film them. Taking us down here to see something special, they said. Can't show any faces. They explain they didn't run from the army, just ran out of ammunition and withdrew against overwhelming odds. This is a bomb, or what is it here? Shell? Several houses destroyed. From above, how bad revealed. This is a strike by a MiG fighter jet, we're told. 15 people were killed here 10 days ago, they tell us. And already the rebuilding has begun. Look in here. The walls are being plastered. Even so, the outside of the building is cracked with the explosion. In Ein Terme, neither regime nor rebels could land a knockout punch. The cycle of rebellion and reprisal far from over. For now, they rebuild as long as the stalemate holds. Nick Robertson, CNN, Ein Terme, Syria.
Well, time now to take another break. When we come back, we'll take a look at sports. Stay tuned in.
Gamsel neneñu amal nañ leen sim card bu ñuy wooyee prepaid yóbbaale ma sim card pour yéen ñi bëgg a dem Màkka ya salaam ndax jokko bi mën a yomb lool su ngeen di dem dugal leen seen Gamcel scratch card ndax bu ñu leen wooyee am leen yéen it su ngeen wootee ngeen am seen njaboot ndax ñu dëkk ñaanooy yow Gamcel amul leen morom yéen a fi nekkal ñëpp yéen a fi nekkal ñu di doole yi yéen a fi nekkal adduna bee ya salaam Makkatul Mukarrama yóbbaale ma.
Welcome back. The Gambia's female under-17 team is set to play their second game in the ongoing FIFA Under-17 Championship in Azerbaijan against the United States of America. The team will be looking to bounce back after that humbling 11-0 defeat to Korea. Well, former under-20 coach Lamin Sarr says the team's chances for revival will depend on the technical team's ability to find the right balances in the team. Babka Senghor has more on that.
10 minutes. One man who has inside knowledge of the team flying the Gambian flag in Baku is former national under-20 coach Lamin Sarr. Sarr, who was part of the team's technical setup until their departure for the finals, gives us an insight into the game when Grts visited him at his home in Brikama. The former assistant to ex-national team coach Paul Pott expressed with nostalgia the embryonic stage of a team which at one point never played a single international game for years.
I was with this team since 2008.
To watch a team I trained with for years crumble in such dramatic fashion was very difficult, Sarr opined, while reflecting on some of the tactical mishaps which generally characterized the team's play against North Korea.
I would advance my disappointment. Though I want to clear myself, I am not here to blame, neither to criticize anybody. But during the course of our training, the tactics the